Okay, this is my tutorial on how to create a vector portrait illustration in Adobe Illustrator, and you can see this is my example of the portrait that I have created. It's from a picture of Rihanna, and if I just hide this you can see the photo I was working from. I have done it very quickly, so it's not a brilliant job, and hopefully you will be able to take more time on yours once I show you how to do it and come up with something a bit better. So I'm just going to hide that one for now and then show you what I'm going to do. So I've collected a photo from the internet, and you can obviously take your own photo or whatever else, but I've collected this one off the internet just for quickness. The first thing that you need to do is you actually need to go into the smart blur. So if you go to filter, go down to blur and go to smart blur, and that's just going to take this down a bit because we don't want an image that's too detailed. We want something that we can work with that's a bit more simplified. So you can see that I've put the radius on there at just around 30, and the threshold around 30, and the quality low and the mode normal. Obviously your image size is going to be different to mine, so your settings may be different on that, and it's up to you to judge on that one. So just click OK, and then you need to go and posterize your image to make it much more simplified, and that would be image adjustments and then down to posterize, and then for mine I actually set the level on 2 because I wanted it to be really simple, and the colours to be simple. If you wanted to get rid of all of this excess information here and behind your image before you did all that, you can, and there's another tutorial on the same YouTube channel on how to remove the backgrounds, but I'm just going to ignore those when I'm using the image, so that's how I'm going to get around that. So then you just want to save that and then open it up in Adobe Illustrator. So I don't need to do that because I've already got one. Here is mine. Drag it in, open it up in Illustrator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the other one there to show you as reference later on, because I'm not going to show you the whole thing because that would just be too long and tedious for you. What I'm going to do is just lock my image first of all, so I know that that's locked and nothing's going to happen. I'm not going to accidentally delete it or whatever. And that is Object Lock, or Apple 2, Command 2 if you're using a PC. I'm then going to create some new layers, so you need to have your layers palette open from the window menu in there. I've got mine open, and then just create some new layers using the little drop down menu. You want to call them the same colours as you've got on your image, and obviously I've got yellow, orange and black. I'm going to ignore the pink because there's only one instance of that colour. So black, create a new layer, oops, rename that layer and call it white. Make a new layer and call that layer red. Make a new layer and call that layer yellow. So name them after your 4 colours. Hopefully you should only have 4. You do only really want to be working with 4 layers. What should happen is you should be having your black layer at the top. Oops, not inside. So just reorder your layers a little bit. Let me think, what have I got on here? White, black, red, yellow. Okay, so the colour that you have most obviously in your picture should be at the bottom, which will be yellow. White's just the highlight, so that'll just be above the black. Oops. And then once you've got them ordered, you're ready to go. So I would probably just lock all the other layers except the layer that you're going to work on, and I would actually work on the yellow layer first. So lock all the other ones by just clicking the little lock sign on. Lock the bottom layer as well, and then you know that you're working on your yellow layer. So we're not actually going to draw in not going to draw in yellow when we do work on this layer, because otherwise we won't be able to see it. So actually I'm just going to pick a colour, and you don't want any fill, you just want an outline for this. So I think I'll probably just go with blue for now, since that's already selected. If you haven't used a pen tool before, don't worry, I'm going to talk you through how to do that now. You will probably find it quite difficult if you've never used it before. The premise is that basically you need to use the clicks and the dragging to drag out where you want your line to go. So it's kind of a click and drag technique. So if we're starting down here on the shoulder, I'm then going to click to put my next point. So I've put one point in there. In fact, let's zoom in so you can see a bit clearer. I've put one point in and you can see it's highlighted yellow. I'm going to click here, and I haven't let go of the click. I'm still holding down on my right left click. And then when I drag out like this, oops, let's start again. Click, click and drag, and you can see, unfortunately, because it's on a white background, it's a bit difficult and the colour is on yellow. But you can see that as I'm doing that, I am able to drag the point, and as I drag that point out, that handlebar out, it will help me determine where to lay down my line. And if I just show you that here to one side so that you can see again, finish doing that, click on one, click again, and then as I drag, you can see that my line changes and bends whichever way I want to do, and then I can let that go. And then if I've made a mistake with that line and it's accidentally gone up that way and I want it to go the other way, if I select on the white arrow, I can get that handlebar and I can change the direction. It is essentially just a directional handlebar which will help me move the direction. And as long as you know that that's how you can do it to edit it, you should be fine. What you don't want to do at this stage is have lots of separate lines. You really want to just be creating one complete line. I'm going to just delete that now a minute. So as you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're doing your whole line in one. Now you can see I've just reselected the line I drew earlier, and if I collect my pen tool by clicking on P, which is the shortcut for the pen tool, and you can see that's highlighted there, rather than keep going over to your tools every time. If you click P, that will do it for you. When you actually hover over where you put the last point, and it's really difficult to see on this, and I'm very sorry, you will actually just get, let me move that so you can see, you will actually just get a little mark there, a slash mark, and that means that you can, if you click there, you'll reactivate the pen tool and you can carry on from where you left off. So if you have finished a line, just click on the end and you can then carry on drawing your line as you go. Click, hold and drag, click, hold and drag, and I'm going to zoom out a bit. You may find that you have to work quite clearly dragged in, zoomed in, sorry, because you're not able to see with the colours and things like that. Now what you're doing with this yellow layer, let me just zoom out and talk to you about it, is because the yellow is mostly covering the whole outside of the image, we're literally going to draw roughly around the very edge of the image. We don't need to worry too much about the blacks, there's no yellow in the black anyway. So just draw around the whole image as you go. And you don't want to put too many points in. You can see I'm just putting a few points in and clicking and dragging where necessary to make that point fit the shape. And if I go wrong, it doesn't matter too much because actually it's a representation, not a completely accurate image anyway. And then once I've gone around the outside and I meet up with my point again, you'll see that I get the little zero appearing next to it, and that means that I'm closing the circle, closing the loop, closing the path, and that now is one layer complete. At this stage, what you don't want to do is you don't want to be adding any colour to your fill at this stage. It's easier if you just leave it as an outline. So we now know that that whole background layer is going to be yellow, or whichever colours you choose to change it to. So you don't need to do anything else to that layer once you've done that, draw around the outside. You can just lock that. I don't know what I've done some weird thing here. So just ignore mine, it shouldn't look like that. And then we need to go on to the next layer. What I would also do at this stage is hide the yellow layer or the bottom layer, because you don't want to be seeing that. You don't want that to interfere with what you're doing on the next layers. What I'm going to do actually is go up to the red layer next then. And then you need to make sure that's unlocked. If when you're trying to do the pen tool you get this weird thing on your cursor, you know that that is meaning you can't draw. So if you're trying to draw and you can't draw anything, it's because you're still locked on there. So this time make sure that's unlocked but visible, and this one's going to be a bit more complicated because there is a lot more red going on in the image, and what you must try to do at this stage is really just see the shapes more than anything else. And I'll start up here because this is the hardest bit on the face. what's a good idea is to start somewhere quite clear where you know you've got an edge there, and there's not too much going on. So I'm going to collect my pen tool by clicking on P. Don't worry if your cursor doesn't look the same as mine. Sometimes they look different. Again, I'm just going to use the blue because I think that's a bit clearer for me to see with. And again, you can zoom in if you need to, but it's all a case of just put your point down and drag. Now you see I've ignored this bit of red there because I don't want that in the background, but actually the cursor doesn't go round here. The red shape doesn't go round to the chin. It actually comes down here and down the side. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my points in. Sometimes if you're doing a straight line, it's actually really easy to put the points in. And all the way down to here. And that's where you can see the end of the shape stops and then moves back on itself. And that is the key, to really think about how these shapes can be just one shape. And you see I'm just doing this really roughly, I'm not worrying too much. So I'm coming down here with it. Again, you can crop out the bottom part if you want to. For mine, I actually made this bit a lot shorter, but for the benefit of you here, make sure you're not getting confused, I'm just going to do this bit. And you can see there's no red in there, but it doesn't matter that I've gone over the edge. I'm just doing it quickly. And you can take more time or do it as quickly as me, if it's up to you how well detailed you want to do this. I've actually ignored the necklaces on mine as well, so I'm just going to ignore that bit. Coming up here, always going round the edge of the red area, just loosely going around it with my pen tool. And I can see I'm putting on quite a lot of points in there to get the shapes and stuff. So once you've gone all the way around that, you can do the same thing. It's up to you how selective you are about which bits you collect. I'm going to just go really quickly, put in some of the bits down here. If you need to move your screen like I did as you're doing it, if you don't know, you can actually, while you're selecting the tool, if you hold down the spacebar, you get a hand and you can drag your image then, so you don't need to do any thing with the zoom tool. You can just drag your screen up and down with the hand tool, and that's really useful to know as well. And when I get here, you can come round and up there and do a little bit in the ear if you want to. But again, you need to make sure that you're not letting the line stop. It needs to be a whole shape. So you need to be able to come back round and work with it as a whole shape. So at this stage, it is getting a bit tricky, but we have gone all the way around the outside. So probably what I'll do is carry on going around the outside here, and then show you what else you can do with the details that are in the middle. In fact, actually, probably what I'll do is come round here like this, ignore that section, come around there, and then I know that I'm coming around the back end of my shape. Come around the mouth. Obviously, you want to try and make yours a bit nicer and neater. I'm going to show you on my one that I've already done how mine works in a minute. I'm just trying to get round here, go around the eye a bit. Oops. Do a bit of that. Come around here a bit. And then join my path up. And then now I know that I've got a whole shape there of red. But you can see also I've got red in the nose area. So I'm going to zoom in at that. And I'm just going to quickly put in the red lines around the nose. And I'm actually going to grab the white arrow. A for white arrow if you need the shortcut for that, and drag that one down. And hopefully you can just speed this up. You don't have to watch all of this. Putting in the details for the red layer, like this. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to switch back to my other one that I've done. Here's the one I did earlier. And I'm actually going to show you on that one how you can move on from that. So if I click back to this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide everything. And you can see I've still called my layers red and whatever, but it's just that I've called them, I've changed the colours. So you can see red has been coloured into blue. And let's just get rid of that. In fact, let's just select everything because it's all undone, and let's just get rid of the fill, and then you can start to see how this whole thing is built up layers wise. Let's give them all the same stroke, and you can see there, if I select the black layer as well and I give that the same stroke, get rid of the fill, you can see how actually the whole image is simply just a whole lot of different lines that I have and shapes that I've created in the other image, and that looks quite complicated, but it's actually not. If you keep sticking to each layer each time, and I hide the background, you can see that I'm starting to build up this kind of map of images relating to our picture and to the different colours, and just in line like what I've gone here. So once you've done all your lines, I've just done the red and yellow, so you can carry on and do the black and white on your own, making sure to hide each layer as you do, and make sure they're locked. Unlock the next layer and draw on the black. You carry on doing that, and then come back to this in a minute and I'll show you how to just fill everything and make sure everything looks good. So I'm going to lock all these again, make sure I've locked the background layer and it's not visible. I'm then going to hide everything but the yellow layer, so I'm going to go to that layer first. So I'm going to click on the yellow layer, I'm going to unlock it and then select everything within that layer and give it a colour. Now it's up to you which colours you want to use, but I ended up going with a darker blue fill colour. So I just opened up in my swatches some colours, gave it a blue colour. If you're not sure, if you don't have any swatches in your document randomly, you need to just go down to the swatch libraries and open up some colours. I just opened Celebration because it was the easiest one to get. Then you need to make sure you're taking the stroke off. So now we are actually filling all of the lines and taking away all of the outlines. But actually it looks quite nice with the outlines linked in with a bit of stroke and whatever, and you can play around with that later on. And then each layer at a time, the same thing, making sure that you're locking the one underneath, drag to select all. This time the fill, I'm going to fill with this lighter blue that I've actually got in the stroke, so I'm just going to drag that from the stroke in and then click on that to change that. And you can see it's very, very simple the way this works out. Lock again, click onto the black layer, show that, unlock, select everything, turn the fill black, get rid of the outline, and then lock that one, show the white layer, and then this time the white layer is actually, oh no, it's still got a stroke on, so I want to make sure, oops, that I unlock that, select everything, and then get rid of the stroke. And there you can see my final Rihanna image. Hopefully that hasn't been too difficult for you to create. One last thing that I did do was I actually went in and added a little bit more detail. So for instance, I felt that her lips perhaps could do with being a darker blue. When you are doing that, you'll find that you actually have to work on the different layer because you need that to be above the blue but underneath the white. So I actually worked on the light blue layer on the lips, and actually what you can do is you can hide everything, go back to your original image, make sure everything's locked, draw in the lips the colour that you want them, which I think was the darker blue, so we'll just do it that one. Just draw, oh, I've locked it, so that's key, we need to unlock that. Oh, can I do it? No, I can't do it. What I'll do is I'll draw it on this bottom layer, make sure everything else is locked, and then I'll show you how to drag it in. So if I want to add in details afterwards and I'm not entirely happy with my image as it is, what I would do is just draw it on the bottom layer. Because it's a vector, it's fine, you can just drag it in, and then I would show the layer I want it to be on, and I drag that layer into that other layer. So you need to unlock the layer you want to drag it to, click on this little square in the corner indicates that I've got the artwork selected, and then I can just drag that up and drop it, and it then becomes a green square to represent that it's now on the green layer. So I'm going to hide the background, show everything else, and you can see that I've now added a nice blue lip layer into the light blue, and I think that helps that to stand out. I also went back and edited this section here because I wasn't happy with that. I got rid of some of the dark layer there because I didn't think it was, I think it was too much really. So I took that back for my final one as well, but it's up to you. And I also added in a little bit more in the hair. So again, you just go onto the black layer, and this time I just freestyled it. I just copied what I'd kind of already done a little bit already with that one and added that in. And obviously you can add a lot more detail in as and when really to suit your needs. This isn't particularly very good because I've done it very, very quickly just to show you, but hopefully that gives you the idea, and then you can then work on that further yourself. So that was a tutorial for how to create a vector portrait illustration in Adobe Illustrator, and I hope you found that helpful.